Well, hello, my fellow Americans and fellow Christians, and thank you for joining me for one more day of peace and freedom here in the United States of America. This video is about a prophetic update concerning the Brussels terror attack. And it is also about Donald Trump, who seems to be the only one speaking against it and having a concern concerning terrorism in our world. And my fellow Americans and Christians, terrorism is a serious issue in our world today. And unless the aggressors are stopped, every precious thing in our world will be lost and utterly destroyed. Our Lord said the last days would be as the days of Noah. Anyone studying Noah's time would come to the conclusion that violence was spiraling out of control. In fact, our Lord said this was the reason for the flood: the violence and wickedness of man. St. Paul talks about this being as a dilemma in the world towards the end times, when he mentions that as the end times approach, evil men will become worse and worse. I do not think too many people would argue this seems to be a sad fact of our world today. Terrorism is definitely playing a key role in the destruction of our world, and the hope of mankind cannot progress till it is met head on. Unless the peace-loving nations of the world make a concerted effort to thwart this menace, it just may turn into a supreme power in the Middle East, joining forces with other nations, seeking a dominance and change of the entire world. Anything is possible in our world, as we all know today, because all nations today are failing to act. It gives precedent to such actions coming true. I find it interesting today that there is a claim that ISIS has sent 400 fighters to stage attacks across the European continent. This was spoken by officials on the Fox News website. I find it interesting because yesterday I said there is severe political problems in Europe, with terrorism playing a key role. The hope of mankind cannot progress till it is met head on. And I also stated terrorism is a serious issue in our world. Unless the aggressors are stopped, every precious thing in our world will be lost and utterly destroyed. The attitude towards terrorism in our world is mind-boggling. Terrorism is ravaging parts of Europe, the Middle East, and increasingly becoming more cruel in its endeavors. The real issue is innocent people are being cruelly murdered in a quest for the greed of power and supremacy in the Middle East and Europe. Just the other day I heard a world leader say that carpet bombing ISIS strongholds or other means of bombing would only incite anger and trigger more recruits for ISIS. This coming from a leader of one of the most powerful nations on the planet. If the unwillingness of such leaders continues, which ISIS is counting on, then Bible prophecy just may be correct about the times we live in. That being, violence would increase in the world, evil men will get worse and worse, and the world will be reconfigured, and a different spirit will dominate this world we live in. It will not be the Christian spirit, for our Lord said in the last days Christianity will be hated in the world, and he emphatically says this in Matthew 24. If these things come to pass in other parts of the world, let no one in America think we will escape. Every single thing our heritage is for in this country will be at risk. Everything we cherish will wind up being destroyed, ruined, or demolished. The instability of Europe and the Middle East is making this quite clear. ISIS is marching slowly across Europe, and if we are to have a world of international freedom and peace, the pledge must be to stop the horrors gripping our world. working together for the triumph of peace, justice, and security must prevail. The world's morality is just as important as personal morality, and it is completely impossible for any nation in this world to disengage from acting, for sooner or later it will reach their doorstep. To think otherwise is sheer ignorance. Americans hate war, yet as usual, we have not brought it into the arena. Some other aggressors have put it into play, and vision states it will eventually reach our shores. Indeed, in different ways it already has. The moral consciousness of the world must recognize this threat and act, or brief will be the grievance in our future. I know the Bible prophecy buffs think it's written in stone that the world is to falter in our time. I see quite the contrary, though. I acknowledge Bible prophecy. But we still have the ability to actively engage in eliminating destructive forces in our world. It is our duty to pursue every means available to end destruction and search all avenues which will bring peace and stability to our troubled world. So let it be written, so let it be done. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.